In the first top-level bilateral exchange since Imran Khan's visit to Washington in 2019, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir met US President Donald Trump at the White House on Thursday. The closed-door talks at the Oval Office included US Vice President J.D. Vance and the Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Post-meeting photos showed Sharif and Munir exchanging views with Donald Trump. Trump was all smiles as he flashed his signature thumbs up, signed during a group photograph. Washington and Islamabad have reportedly agreed to move forward with a cooperation framework that combines security, economics, and strategic partnership. The two countries are likely to sign a comprehensive agreement for security and strategic partnership, a counterterrorism alliance, and investments in rare earth mineral extraction, and that may also include oil exploration. On the military front, Munir has requested the restoration of US-Pakistan military training and exchange programs, which were scaled down during the Biden administration. Not just this, a secret cryptocurrency deal between the World Liberty Financial, a firm backed by the Trump family, and the newly formed Pakistan Crypto Council has ignited speculation about the US president's geopolitical motivations. The firm is 60% owned by Trump's sons, Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. The timing of the deal, signed just days after the April 22, 2025 Pahalgam terror attack, raised eyebrows in both New Delhi and Washington. And middle of it, the development is that Trump unveiled a fresh round of punitive tariff on a broad range of imported goods, including 100% duties on branded drugs, set to come into force next week. Our export form more than one-third of the drug consumed in the US, but most of these are generic medicines, drugs that are not covered under the patent and are cheaper than the branded versions. But the announcement may impact the market sentiment in the pharmaceutical stock. There is also a fear that future tariff measures could extend to generic drugs. The warming of ties between Washington and Islamabad comes soon after Pakistan inked its first ever formal defense pact with Saudi Arabia with the objective to strengthen joint deterrence and regional security. The bilateral statement said any attack on one will be treated as an attack on both countries. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has highlighted terrorism as a sustained obstacle to global development.
A persistent threat to development is that perennial disruptor of peace, terrorism. It is imperative that the world display neither tolerance nor accommodation to terrorist activities. Given the extensive networking among terrorists, those who act against them on any front actually render a larger service to the international community as a whole. As we confront conflict, economic pressures, and terrorism, the limitations of multilateralism and the United Nations in particular are visible. The need for reforming multilateralism has never been greater. Colleagues, the international situation is today both politically and economically volatile. We, as members of G20, have a particular responsibility to strengthen its stability and give it a more positive direction.
The sudden warming of ties between Islamabad and Washington is a big departure from the Joe Biden presidency. In his 4-year term, Biden didn't even speak over the phone to the Pakistan leadership. But Trump is hosting Munir for lunch and warming up to Sharif. So the big question is, how has Pakistan again become close to Oval Office? Are we back to 1971 when Pakistan was close to both Beijing and Washington? Despite Pahalgam, Pak has made diplomatic gains. Why? How did Islamabad balance ties with both Beijing and Washington while India is only left with a weak Moscow? Is India losing a leverage in Washington? What will be the defense implication for a warm US-Pakistan relationship? On this, I am joined by Professor Swaran Singh, Center for International Studies, JNU, and Major General Rajan Kochar. Thank you both of you for joining me. Let me straight away go to Professor Swaran Singh. I mean to say, what explains this success of Asim Munir, that he is able to handle both Washington and Beijing when they are loggerhead? And sir, since you are a China expert, is it because, sir, America really wants to cut a deal with China and not Russia, that he is okay with Pakistan?
This is partly true that President Trump likes to cut a deal at individual level, and therefore his approach to both President Putin and President Xi Jinping is very distinct, unlike any earlier presidents. Second, this is the third time that Field Marshal Asim Munir is in White House in last 4 months. And I think the primary factor in that obviously is being one of the first ones to propose President Trump's name for Nobel Prize, giving him the credit. And the same ways now Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif is also calling him man of peace. At personal level, I think those things really matter to President Trump a great deal. Second, I think there are also what we call push factors, not so much pull factors, where President Trump's approach to Iran and more recently to India makes Pakistan relevant. And if you look at history, so many times, particularly in the initial stages of presidential terms, we have seen Pakistan becoming closer to United States. But fundamental limitation that one after another examples show President of United States will face in befriending Pakistan is inordinately unusual, unique proximity and friendship that Islamabad has with Beijing. And that is something that will not go away. I think in that sense, we are hearing right now some voices contrary to President Trump within his team saying that India is still a relevant player and a friend in Indo-Pacific region and so on. The moment India relationship gets sorted out, India is 8 times larger economy in simple terms, and in many other ways not comparable to Pakistan. So the moment relations with India get sorted out, they will not blink an eye to drop Pakistan at any moment. So it's
So you
I
are
think it's a
Professor,
clearly
Professor,
temporary.
Professor. You are saying that it's basically ego. Uh, it's basically ego. Uh, so let me read out what Pakistan Prime Minister has just recently said. Pakistan agreed to ceasefire facilitated by President Trump. Had President Trump not intervened, it would have been war. President Trump is a man of peace. We nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize. The least we could do. So, General Kocha, is it all about Trump's ego? This is what Pakistan PM Shehbaz Sharif is saying. This is all he wants to hear. Are we dealing with an ego in Oval Office or a man elected by people of the United States of America?
Karthikeyan, I don't totally go with this ego, an explanation, because there is more to it. It is more of a transactional relationship. As you showed in your opening narrative, the Baluchistan and the crypto deal is one important factor. A second important factor is, see, we are mentioning a strategic defense partnership, and we are also mentioning counter terrorism and assistance. So I will take you back to a couple of years during the Afghanistan episode, where a similar kind of relationship was there between the US as well as the Pakistan. So what I visualize is there is going to be a likelihood of an American air base in Pakistan. It may be limited, as of now, but a moment counter terrorism is coming into play, US is making a pitch to have a stake in Pakistan. And why it is important for the US is, one is to control Afghanistan, because Bagram airport also comes into the equation. Please don't forget, Trump has issued a warning to Afghanistan that you better give back Bagram airport, otherwise the consequences will be immense. That is one aspect.